She's getting up there. That fifth octave's looking real comfy.
That's my thing. I love belting. Expected to go and perform in front of all these people and be perfect. And it's hard. It's really hard when you don't have like when you've never even performed in front of 10 people and now you're performing in front of, yeah, I feel like so much more connected with literally everything, just life in general. I felt so lost when I was making the music I didn't want to make, in literally every aspect of my life.
There's something that I wanted to ask you. Since you're here and I'm here, is there anything we can do about that?
Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back. Today I am with the fabulous Maggie Lindemann. Welcome to this little interview, Maggie. I'm so excited to have you here.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I was super excited when I first got the contact to potentially speak to someone who has been singing for a really long time, but has done like a pretty big style shift. That's always really exciting for me because it's not just the music that changes, it's the approach for everything. So first of all, massive congrats on releasing your debut album, Suckerpunch. That's huge. And of course, the announcement of the tour, where I'm super keen to like cycle back to that in a moment. But before we do, I would love to chat sound with you. So diving in, any previous training before you started writing, during, while you've had this career going?
So I used to take like vocal lessons. Is that what you mean by training?
Yeah. It's
Okay,
just
okay.
anything.
So I used to take like vocal lessons a lot when I first started doing music. And then just training, like I did like, guitar and stuff like that earlier
Oh,
on, like
cool.
lessons, stuff like that. But for the most part, I feel like I am not okay. I'm not a person that sings in the shower. Everyone always thinks that because I'm like a singer. So like, oh, you must sing in the shower. But I do like warm-ups and stuff in the shower a lot. I also hum a lot. So I think like one thing about getting training or whatever is just a lot of like doing stuff on your own. Because even when I would like go to vocal lessons and stuff, she would be like, this is just me telling you what to do, but you have to go and like actually do this stuff every day. So, before a show, I'm doing vocal warm-ups. I like to hum a lot throughout the day just to like, keep my vocals warm. And I also talk a lot. So my
Yeah,
vocal is always working.
I mean, that's amazing. Just you saying you have to put in the work yourself, like when you go to a vocal teacher. For me, it's like, say it louder for the people in the back, please. You
Yeah.
can't just go to a lesson, you have to put in the work yourself.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I also find it interesting that you say you hum, because humming as an activity is really good for your vocal folds in like just moderation, just for keeping that contact going there. That's really cool. Okay, so when you said you're training guitar, is that something that you involve in your performances as well? Or are you primarily just fully focused vocals, connection, audience, that kind of thing?
So when I toured a couple tours ago, I did guitar. I would play guitar on tour, and then I did something for Paranoia. It was called Live at the Roxy, and I incorporated guitar into that. But doing the music I'm doing right now, it's really hard, like vocally, and
Yeah.
I feel like I'm focused so much on my vocals and also on my movements that I haven't been doing guitar as much just because I really want to like nail everything vocally. So that's been like a focus, but I would really like to get back into playing guitar just because I think it's just really cool to look at, especially as a girl playing guitar. I think it's really cool for a lot of people to see that in like an audience, to look up and see like, oh my God, it's like a girl guitar player. That's really cool. So I want to do that. I just gotta like nail it vocally first so I feel more comfortable.
Yeah, completely. I always find that if you're singing and playing, that's like its own skill all on its own.
Yeah, oh my God,
Like,
it's so hard. I don't think people realize like how hard that is because
mm,
it's just, yeah, it's really hard.
yeah. That's amazing that you did that, but I listened to the start of your career because you've been writing for a long time now. Like I'm not great at maths, but I tried to do the maths. I was looking at the release of some of your first few songs and I was like, oh my goodness, this artist was 17 or 16 or something when those releases happened. And of course, you're writing a heap before those releases actually happened. So it's massive change in the vocal approach, definitely a lot heavier now. For those of you who are familiar with Maggie, obviously you will already know this, but for those of you who are unfamiliar, we sort of did this transition from the pop sound into like your pop punk heavier. I almost hear like metal influences in the latest album, which of course is like the vocals for pop and the vocals for that they're not the same intention or level of intensity. So I'm so glad you mentioned that you decided to pare back on the playing to look after your voice and really nail that vocal. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a completely different approach, but it's actually weird because I feel like vocally, singing in that pop register and singing those pop songs was way harder for me. I feel like it was harder to hit the notes. It was harder for me to, I don't know. It was just like, I felt like I was trying to sing very like whispery almost. And, I love belting. Like belting is literally my favorite thing to do. I love singing high. I really don't like singing low at all. So this is actually feels way better on my voice than that did, which is like really weird because I feel like people always talk about like, oh, your improvement like now versus when I was doing Pretty Girl, but it's like, I just feel like this vocally is just so much easier on my voice, which is like so weird because it's obviously way harder. But
yeah, I also feel like when you're starting off as a young vocalist, we don't often think about the fact that your voice changes over time.
yeah.
And so you're around like 23, 24 now, yes?
Yeah, I'm 24.
So that's when the voice starts to settle a bit more. And so you've not only experienced the genre changes, but you've also experienced like what it is to have your voice changing over time.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. For sure.
What are some main things for you that you've like actually noticed and gone, aside from obviously the approach changes making things easier, what are some things that you've noticed vocally for you that would be different to 17-year-old Maggie?
Oh my God, so much. I mean, when I first started going to vocal lessons, I remember in Couple of Kids, there's this part, which is, by the way, like my first or second song. And I would go to these vocal lessons and like there's this high part in that song and I could not hit it. Like we would always practice this part because it was just so high for me and I couldn't hit it at all. Now I like that is so not, I'm like, that's crazy. I can easily hit that. I feel like higher notes are actually way easier for me to hit than lower notes, which is something that's really weird. Just like my range has changed so much. Like I can hit stuff that's way higher and way lower than I used to be able to. It's also easier for me to go into like a falsetto and then go back to like terrible terms. Don't even ask me. I don't know, but falsetto into like my normal voice. But like I used to not be able to do that. It was so hard for me to like make that quick switch. And it was just also like I still have this problem sometimes, but my voice would be so shaky when I was nervous. Like I would, get on stage and I'd be so nervous and my voice would be just shaking uncontrollably. And now it does that a little bit when I'm nervous or when I'm really thirsty, it starts shaking. But I feel like it's way easier for me to like reel it in and calm it down than it used to be. It was like so hard for me. It would just shake like crazy. So,
yeah. Do you think part of that is also you developing experience as a performer and working on things like performance anxiety and being able to trust your voice in those environments? Because it's so different singing in a room by yourself and then singing in front of people.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I used to have crazy performance anxiety just because I didn't really like everything that I was doing was in the studio. I wasn't really doing a lot of performances like at the very beginning. So I wasn't really used to it. So then it was like my very first performance ever, was we went to Norway and I did this festival and it was in front of 90,000 people. And it was my first ever performance.
Oh my God.
It was terrible. Like my voice sounded terrible. I was so nervous. I was happy. I was like so happy, but I was so scared and nervous. And I really didn't have like any prior, like it was because Pretty Girl took off so quick that I didn't have a lot of like development. And I feel like especially now with like the age we live in, there's no developing. It's kind of like your song blows up on TikTok and then you're expected to go and perform in front of all these people and be perfect. And it's hard. It's really hard when you don't have like when you've never even performed in front of 10 people and now you're performing in front of 90,000 people. It's like I was so nervous. Oh my God, I was so scared and like my voice
Rightfully so. Oh my God.
It was just terrible. Like my voice sounded terrible and like people would be like, oh, she can't sing or whatever. And I was like, no, like guys, I'm just nervous. But now it's I don't know, it's like completely different. I get that anxiety really bad still, like right before I go on. But then I'm able to kind of like calm myself down and be like, you can't like gotta just control your voice. You gotta just, you're there to work, you're there to sing. People want to see you. It's like just think about that. So I don't know. It's definitely different.
That's so interesting that you mentioned that there's no training anymore between when your song blows up and when you're expected to perform. That just you describing that to me is terrifying. I'm just like
it's crazy though, because it's like back in the day, but like back whatever, a couple of years ago, it was like a developing thing. Like I would use this as an example because this is like why I wanted to start doing music. But like when I watched the Katy Perry documentary, there was so much developing before she became Katy Perry. Like, she was turned down. She was doing all these little things to try to become who she ended up becoming. And I feel like now there's just none of that anymore. You have like a song blow up randomly, like on TikTok or whatever. And then everyone's expecting you to like go out and perform in front of all these people and be like a natural performer. And a lot of singers aren't natural performers. We're natural singers. Like we like to write, we like to make songs, but like getting in front of a lot of people, most artists are introverts. It's hard to go in front of, a bunch of people and put on an amazing show because like, I don't even know what to do with my body. Like, I'm not a dancer. I'm a singer, So I don't know. That was like really hard for me because I just didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, I just know how to sing and that's it. So,
yeah. God, the psychological pressure alone of having to bare your soul with songs you've written and then put it in that context.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, I did actually have a question because now you've got a little bit more experience. You've supported some really big names and now you're doing your first headlining tour. I suppose now that you've had that experience of what it is to perform, but also having a lot of time in the studio, what's the difference for you between when you're preparing to go into the studio versus now when you're like preparing for your tour or you're preparing to support someone? Is there a different approach mentally? Is there a different approach physically? Is there prep physically? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's not a lot of prep for going into the studio. Sometimes usually the only type of prep is like sometimes I'll go in with an idea. Sometimes I'll go into the studio and be like, I have absolutely no idea what I want to do today. And then it'll kind of just come to me when I'm in there. But for performing, there's definitely more prep that goes into that. I try to work out more before I have a lot of stuff to do because working out and then compared to like performing, it's like the same thing. Like it literally feels like a workout when I'm performing. So if I'm not physically in shape, it's so hard to perform. So I try to like work out and stuff before I have stuff to do. I have rehearsals with my band. Getting into like the groove of it. I do watch a lot of like live performances, just to like watch people's body movements and stuff, because like I said, I'm not a natural performer. I don't know what to do with my body. I just like know to sing and I don't know like what to do. I'm not a dancer. Like my body doesn't move in those natural ways. So I used to have a movement coach, which Back when I was doing more like pop, I did do a movement coach. I also did do dance classes sometimes,
Yeah.
which is terrible. Like, I'm really not a dancer. Like, I don't think you understand. Like, I'm really not. I'm
Okay.
really not. So that was like quickly like, yeah, this isn't gonna work.
Yeah.
But I did have a movement coach, and
Mm.
I do think now with the music I make, it is way easier for me to do like feel connected to my body, because
Yeah.
as a pop punk artist, I'm not expected to dance. Like, I'm no one, like if I started dancing on stage, people would be like, what are you doing? But by dancing, I mean also just like having any rhythm. Like, in certain parts of the song, like if it's a part where I'm not singing, but the guitar is going, like, what do I do in that part? Like, it's awkward because when I'm singing, I'm like, oh yeah, I know what to do. But when I'm not singing, I'm like, okay, like now what? So
Crowd interaction.
yeah, I'm like, hey guys, yeah. So I'll like, try to do stuff, but I feel like now I'm more comfortable with that. But there was a time where I was like super like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I like watch a lot of like Paramore videos. I love watching Gwen. I feel like she is like such a good person that I've just looked up to for a long time musically. I think she's just insane, and watching old videos, how she would like interact with the crowd and how she would move on stage, like she was just so cool. And yeah, I like to watch a lot of those videos.
That's so incredible that you draw on your inspirations of the people that you look up to. Because sometimes I think we forget about that we have models all over the world who have something that they can learn. And also you yourself included, being in the public eye. Like, I know from watching other interviews that you've mentioned that you feel very close to your fans and that you have that trust with them too. And so obviously they're looking up to you and you feel comfortable in that environment. Do you also think that the style change has made you more physically comfortable because it feels like a more genuine expression of the kind of music you would like to be making?
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel like so much more connected with literally everything, just life in general. I felt so lost when I was making the music I didn't want to make, in literally every aspect of my life, like my style with fans. I felt like I couldn't connect with people. When people would, talk to me about music, I felt like I didn't know what to say because it felt like I was literally acting. Like, I didn't know what to talk about because it just wasn't something like I do listen to pop sometimes. Like, I like pop music, but it's not something I really understand. Like, I understand rock. Like, I love rock. I love guitars. I love drums. Like, I love everything about it. I don't know. I just like really love it. I love the movements. I love the conversations. I love it. Like, I could talk about, pop punk forever, but I don't really know what I'm talking about when I talk about pop. So it just felt like I was just really lost in that genre. And I felt like a poser. Like, I don't know. I just felt like I was fake or something. So I feel way better and like way more connected with literally everything now.
Yeah. I must admit, I was listening to the early music and I was listening to Suckerpunch, and I'm listening to Suckerpunch, and just the vocal choices, they sound so much more emotive. And I think I was listening to Novocaine and the switches you were making in your voice. I was like, this is gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
This is exactly what I would hope like to feel when I'm listening to something that makes me want to feel something. The music and the vocals just, they tee up, and you belt high on that album too. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
She's getting up there. That fifth octave's looking real comfy.
I love belting. Like, I don't know, me back then, I would not, just stylistically, like, I wouldn't have been able to make the choices that I made in this album. And like, I don't know. I just like, I know exactly how I want everything to sound. I know exactly like what my voice can do. I know exactly like how I want things to sound. And back then I was just so lost. I was like, I don't know how I want this production to sound at all. You guys just do it, basically. And I don't know. I felt like I was just didn't know what I was talking about ever. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing at all. So I don't know.
It was your voice, but it wasn't your voice.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm so glad for you then that you've had that transition and you're feeling more comfortable with your sound now. So Of course, you've got the tour coming up. That's very exciting. I believe it's kicking off end of March in the States, but you're making your way to Melbourne, Brisbane, and Sydney in early May. Have you ever been to Australia before?
Haven't.
Oh, sweetie, that flight. I'm so sorry.
I know. I'm not looking forward to the flight literally at all, but I'm really excited to come to Australia. I've never been.
Yeah.
One of the girls that I actually work with a lot is from Australia, so
Cool.
I'm excited to.
We're everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. No, I like to work with her. She's I don't know, she's really cool. So she always speaks very highly of Australia. So I'm excited to come there.
Yeah. And you'll be coming right as the heat kind of drops off. So
oh, really? I don't know. I don't remember how long I'm gonna be there, but I'm really want to go like to the beach. Australia when I was younger, I was just talking about this, but when I was younger, I was like a beach kid. Like I loved the beach. I was always in the lake, stuff like that. So Australia was like my dream place because I was like, I'm gonna go to Australia and get really tan and blonde, and like I wanted to go to Australia. So I really want to go to like the beach and stuff, and just one time I got to experience it. So
yeah.
I hope it's
well,
cold.
May is like smack bang in the middle of winter.
No,
I'm so sorry, but the good news is
that's terrible news.
The beaches here are amazing all year round. So
okay, it's just gonna be kind of cold.
Yeah, and well, I mean, cold for me is a bit different because our winter is like bit nippy. Better put on a cardigan. Like it's not.
Oh, okay. It doesn't get like too cold.
No, there's no snow or anything like that. It's not like other places. But okay, so
I forgot that y'all are like completely different.
Yeah.
On the other side of the world.
Reverse.
So, yeah, we're completely reversed. I always forget that. It's crazy.
Yeah. But that's so exciting that you have your tour coming here. So many people don't bother coming to Australia, and I'm like, but I want to see you live.
Yeah, it's just so far
away.
Yeah, it's so far. 20-hour flight. Crazy.
And then some. But speaking of your tours here, because this is your first time to Australia, obviously you will have some fans here who are so keen to see you live. For those that haven't seen you though, what can you expect at a Maggie Lindemann concert? Like energy, vibe, like what do we anticipate for our new people who are coming to see you?
Just a fun show. I don't know, like it's not too serious. I like to have fun. I want people to mosh. So people moshed at my last show.
Yes.
And it's the first time anyone's ever moshed. So I really hope there's moshing. But yeah, it's just like a fun show. I think it's like not too serious because I'm still just like I don't know. I'm just like having fun. So I don't know. I'm really all over the place. So I think expect that, but also expect great music. My band's amazing. So expect that. And just a fun show. Just like have fun. And I hope everyone comes and is able to just like let go and be themselves and meet new people and make friends and whatever. Just have fun.
I mean, that sounds pretty good to me. There's nothing better than being able to feel like you've made a genuine connection in the audience atmosphere-wise, but then also with the person that you're going to watch. That's so cool. Well, I hope that everything goes amazing on the tour, vocally and in general. I'm sure your fans are very excited to be able to see you. I will make sure that a link to your tour dates is accessible somewhere so that people can jump on that, get their tickets. But ultimately, thank you so much for joining me and letting me pick your brain about voice. I love learning about people's vocal journeys and what's influenced them. I just love singing and singers. So thank you so much for your time this morning.
No, of course. Thank you for talking to me.
I should sing that, right? Okay.